Let's go. Great morning. Good morning. Great morning. Fantastic morning. To God be the glory. He woke you up this morning. He woke me up this morning to this brand new day. I know y'all think it's a new year, and some people's mind it is, but for people in Alcoholics Anonymous in this recovery process, each day is a new day. Each day is a holiday, particularly when we do not drink one day at a time. So we believe that this is a new day. And guess what? You are here joining me, Edwina Bell, right? I use my last name this time, but usually I say Edwina B, the Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops lady, and you'll see why if you just joining in, right? And so this is my perspective on the Alcoholics Anonymous Daily Reflections, now including the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family. I think I got their name finally correct. I'm going to keep practicing, right? And so I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been a proud and grateful member for close to 33 years. If God wakes me up on February the 23rd of 2023, we will be celebrating 33 years. But guess what? I'm celebrating this moment, this second, this half hour with you because I can breathe. I'm alive. I am alive. And the question is, what are you going to do with your day today? We all have the same amount of hours, no less or no more. So what are you going to do with yours? So I like to start my morning thanking him for waking me up, recognizing that I can breathe, and ask him, what can I do to serve you today? Because you have served me unconditionally. And so welcome, right? So one of the things that I want to start with is helping me to quiet my energetic bunny self, right? To get into a mood of just being still and concentrating and relaxing and getting in touch with my breathing by meditating on a song, right? Instrumental, and for about a minute, right? So can you please join me and turning off the phone, the TV, the radio, right? And closing your door and going into your special closet just to be quiet for one moment and to marinate on this song. This is another one of my songs that I use for my TV talk show called Choosing a New Way of Life. And so help me to just meditate for this 1 minute, right? For you, for myself, and for the whole human race in honor of our God. Okay, let's go. And if you didn't recognize the melody, it's Your Grace and Your Mercy, right? But the song is entitled Your Grace and Mercy Brought Me Through. I'm living this moment because of you. I want to praise you and thank you too, for it was your grace and your mercy that brought me through. Woo! See what I mean? By just quieting your mind and practice being in the present, being in the present this second with me, with you, with the universe, with the world, with God of your understanding, the creator of it all. How about that? And so, one of the things that I always do is to let you know that what you see here is not who I am. It's a mask. Oh, yes, it is. And while underneath a parked car, suffering from the disease of addiction, alcoholism, and all of the associated behaviors, attitudes, and ideas, right? Ooh, on February the 22nd of 1990, getting high with my stepson, doing all kinds of sexual favors with him, and he proceeded to want to harm me like any bitch in the street when it was all said and done. And I ran from him like I was running for my life. I got a flashback from my past of going underneath the bed when I was afraid, when I believed somebody was going to harm me. And when I saw them slew of cars, I said, if I just get underneath that parked car, he can't get to me. And so what you see now is not what I looked like almost 33 years ago. And I am so glad because at that moment, at that turning point in my life, God met me underneath that parked car, and I didn't even know him. Didn't have a personal relationship with him. I heard about him, but didn't know him. But I cried out these words, whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. And I haven't looked back. I only look back to share my experience, strength, and hope and perspective, and to help one more soul achieve the freedom that the 12 spiritual principles provide, as well as the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family. All right. And so underneath that parked car, God accepted me just the way I am. And I had no mask on at that time. I was spiritually dead, spiritually bankrupt. I was spiritually naked, right? And I just wanted to live or I just wanted to die, but the choice was not mine. I turned it over to the creator, whoever he was, and whoever they said he was, take me out or show me a better way. So guess what? I believe in transparency. I believe in authenticity, and I believe in showing you that I am discovering who Edwina is. This is a mask. This is not who I am. The mask must go. Yes. This is not my face. It is made up. Lipstick, rouge, and all that, right? At one time, I would have welcomed that. But not anymore. Not anymore. I don't want to wear any mask. Go. The mask must go. The mask must go. The mask must go, right? And the mask must go to the point where you think this is my beautiful smile, and it is when I got my dentures in and when I had some teeth. But guess what? Cocaine and alcohol took my teeth, huh? See, I still got a beautiful smile, don't I? Without my teeth, because hopefully you can feel the spirit within me, right? And this is just a vessel that any spirit can use. And the adversary used that my body, my instrument for over 14 years until that day underneath that parked car. So in order for me to ask you to be transparent, I have to practice what I preach, right? In order for me to tell you, please discover yourself by taking off all those masks, right? So that you can get in touch with the real you, even if you don't know who you are yet, like me, right? But I know I am one happy, joyous, and free person, that I am discovering who God intended for me to be. So he prepared me to sit before you as cuckoo cocoa pops as I am. So I'm gonna put these back in for articulation purposes, okay? All right. And we're gonna dive into our topic for today. All right. And so let me put my reading glasses on, okay? And let's see. The first thing I'm going to do is introduce you to the daily reflection reading for today, right? And it's January the 9th, and the reflection reading is an act of providence, right? And I'm going to be incorporating the five agreements by the Ruiz family, all right? And so let's get to it, all right? So I'm going to put it up, and I want you to listen with your ears, right? But I want you to really listen with your spiritual ears, right? As I read it, and we're going to come back and dissect it and do surgery on it so that we can understand each word, each sentence, each paragraph until we get the essence of what the author's intent was for you to receive, okay? January the 9th, an act of providence. Go to aa.org to find out all about Alcoholics Anonymous. Using the five agreements, I will be incorporating: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, always do your best, be skeptical, but learn to listen. So here's the reflection reading: an act of providence. Our co-founder, Bill W., quotes, "It is usually awful to admit that, glass in hand, we have warped our minds into such an obsession for destructive drinking that only an act of providence can remove it from us." This is from the 12 Steps and 12 Tradition, page 21. And the recovering alcoholic shares his perspective. He states, "My act of providence, a manifestation of divine care and direction, came as I experienced the total bankruptcy of active alcoholism. Everything meaningful in my life was gone. I telephoned Alcoholics Anonymous, and from that instant, my life has never been the same. When I reflect on that very special moment, I know that God was working in my life long before I was able to acknowledge and accept spiritual concepts. The glass was put down through this one act of providence, and my journey into sobriety began. My life continues to unfold with divine care and direction. Step one, in which I admitted I was powerless over alcohol, that my life had become unmanageable, takes on more meaning for me one day at a time in the life-saving, life-giving fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. Woo! Woo! Did you hear that? Oh my God. An act of providence, right? And so we are going to dissect this, and I'm going to interject my perspective, my experience, my strength, and my hope as to what these words mean to me and how they were tangible in my life, because I practice on a daily basis to thy own self be true. I want to be impeccable with my word. I don't want to take anything personally. I don't want to make assumptions. I always want to do the best that I can, but I also know that I must be skeptical so that I can learn to listen even to myself, okay? An act of providence. I share on the beginning how my spiritual bottom, my spiritual bankruptcy, my spiritual emptiness, right, was underneath a parked car at 3 o'clock in the morning in the streets of Philadelphia. Dogs and cats get under a car, not human beings, but I placed myself underneath that parked car in order to save my life. And thank God for the flashback of my past. If I just come underneath the bed, they can't find me. He can't get me. Well, the card gave me that same safety net. But while underneath that parked car, glass in hand, visually, right? Not literally, glass in hand, a crack pipe, prostituting Johns, all those kind of stuff, right? It was like, here I am, what I perceived the filth of the earth. I was nothing. I was nothing. I was nothing, and I wanted to know what's wrong. with you, Edwina? Why are you underneath that parked car? And so, as a result of me being underneath that parked car, my life flashed before me, similar to what this gentleman was talking about in terms of how he, could not put the drink down. I couldn't put the drink down. I could not stop this vicious cycle. And so while underneath that parked car, I'm telling you, my life flashed before me, right? Like how, Edwina, how at the age of 34 did you get underneath a parked car? And so when we look at what it was saying here, let's go back to the information, because I don't want to get, because I can go there, right? I can go there, right? And it says, his act of providence, a manifestation of divine care and direction, came as he experienced the total bankruptcy of active addiction. Everything meaningful in his life was gone. And that's how I felt underneath that parked car. I only weighed 90 pounds. How in the hell, I'm going to say, how in the hell did I get underneath that parked car? And so, yes, my life flashed before me. The rapes, the beat ups, the attempted suicides. My family don't know who I am. My children embarrassed by me, right? Edwina, you were designated the smartest among your mother and father's 6 kids. How did the smartest one get underneath that parked car, right? I was the vice president of my class. I was the co-captain of the cheerleader team. I had goals. I had ambitions. I had a life worth living. So I thought. But doing the inventory from a 12-step program, step number 4, I got to find out that, Edwina, there's nothing wrong with you. There are things that happen to you. And so with this guy here, yes, I had lost everything. I had lost my mind. I had lost my soul. I was empty, empty, empty. And I'm telling y'all, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, every knee shall bow and every tongue will confess that he is. Well, I don't know who he is. I didn't know who he was, because I was taught that God was a punishing God. He's going to get you, Edwina, because you're bad, bad, bad. And when I called out that cry, whoever they say you are, to take me out this life or show me a better way, an act of providence unknowingly to me. I couldn't make the decision. I needed this creator to decide for me, to take me out or show me a better way. And that's what this gentleman was alluding to when he said he had lost everything. Okay. And so he telephoned Alcoholics Anonymous, and from that instant, his life has never been the same. And listen, y'all, when the cops came to get me from underneath that car, because my stepson was trying to say, oh, come on, Edwina, it ain't good. I was like, no, 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 I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I can't. And so when the cop came and asked me from underneath the car, I mean, he had to literally get on the ground and say, Miss, come from underneath the car. And he asked me a question. What do you want to do now? I said, take me home. And I'm keen on a word that changed my whole life. So he took me home to my waiting husband, because my stepson did call him and told him what happened and what kind of wife I was. And when I got home, I sat on the couch. And that was February the 2nd, because 3:00 in the morning, by this time it was daylight. And I had a beer, and I'm sitting on the couch, with that beer. And I'm drinking it down because, yeah, and so my husband came out and looked at me once again with that disgust, with that look that says, what's wrong with you? And he said something that I'm sure he said thousands of times. He said, Edwina, what are you going to do now? And for the second time, I heard that special word that changed my life. You. The cop said, what do you want to do now? My husband said, what are you going to do now? I heard the word you, Edwina. What are you going to do about your life? What are you going to do? And so just like that gentleman, I got off that couch and I called the AA hotline, and the lady said, may I help you? I said, yes, ma'am. I said, listen, I know I need help, but I want help. I want help. I want help. And she said, okay, how soon can you get here? And I told her, listen, I'm on my way. Even if I have to walk, I'm coming because I have to do this for me. And that changed my life. Okay. And so the next day is when I had my first day of sobriety on February the 23rd of 1990. Okay. And so let's continue. And so when he telephoned Alcoholics Anonymous, his life wasn't the same. Then he said, when he reflected on that very special moment, I know that God was working in my life before I was able to acknowledge and accept spiritual concepts. Mine is a little different because I didn't know. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I had been doing. I knew I was underneath that car. I knew that something was wrong with me. I felt that something was wrong with me. And I'm telling you, I had a human, reaction, a human response. But I believe that deep down inside of each and every one of God's creation, there's a spot reserved for him, that when we call him in, he will come to that spot that's just reserved for him. And that's when those words, take me out this life now, or show me a better way, that light began to illuminate, because he didn't take me out. And he put me on a pathway to recovery and introduced me to a 12-step spiritual program there, where I can learn 12 spiritual principles to incorporate in my life on this journey here on earth. All right, so let's listen. Y'all got these are tears of joy, I'm telling y'all. All right, so the God continues to write. He said, the glass was put down through this one act of providence, and my journey into sobriety began. Oh, yes, 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 yes. The glass, the pipe, all of that was put down, because when I asked him to take me out this life or show me a better way, I was coming just like this, total surrender. And I believe in surrender. When you surrender, you only surrender once. I had a made up mind unknowingly to me that I didn't want to go back to where I came from. I didn't want to go back. I didn't know what was in front of me, but it had to be a lot better than what was behind me. And so putting down that drink and putting down them drugs and that lifestyle, I tell you, my sobriety on this spiritual journey began. And so he says, my life continues to unfold with divine care and direction. Oh my God. The fact that I'm sitting here in front of y'all shows that the God of my understanding needed me. He wanted me. He wanted to use me. He wanted to prepare me. He wanted to mold and shape me. He wanted to show me that there's nothing wrong with you, because there's nothing wrong with none of my children. We just need to find out what happened to you on this journey called life, and in this sinful world, and in this sinful nature, and all of that. But guess what? But I am who I say I am, right? And I'm going to choose you, Edwina. We are chosen. I'm going to choose you because I can use you, you cuckoo for Cocoa Pop person, right? And so as a result of, embracing the 12 spiritual principles and being a part of a fellowship, listen, that first step, yes, it says here, step one, in which I admitted I was powerless over alcohol, that my life had become unmanageable, takes on more meaning for me one day at a time in the life-saving, life-giving fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Oh my God. You know, there's it's a serenity prayer, right? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so this vessel that the enemy used, right, is now being occupied because I cried out, and what was already in there was revealed, and I no longer had to conceal it. And so as a result of sitting here before you, my spiritual wisdom continues to increase on this journey. Donald Lawrence says, you are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being encased in walking this natural experience, Edwina. And as a result, I ask God to use me all day long in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And so what was at the age of 34, a person who was all, and now I'm 67 and practicing these spiritual principles in all my affairs, my spirituality was increased even more by being introduced to the 5 agreements by Ruiz Family. So let's go there these last few minutes, all right? And I'm going to incorporate those agreements in my life, right? I'm going to show you, okay? And so the first agreement, it says, be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. And so for me, being impeccable with my word, I practice telling myself when I hear those negative thoughts, I immediately stop, hit the pause button, and say, no, Edwina, don't listen to yourself. You can do it. You will, because God is giving you care and God is giving you direction, right? Get that negative thought out your mouth and tell yourself, no, you can, you will, because you're not doing it alone. Be impeccable with your word. This is January the 9th, and every morning I struggle little by little. Do I want to do it today? Do I want to do it today? And I remember, talk that negative out of your mind and say, I will, you can, you are. All right, so let's go to the next one. Y'all got, listen, where's that? Y'all got to get this book, all right? The next one says, don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. I don't want to suffer anymore, y'all. I don't want to suffer anymore. And so I practice evaluating through my 4-step how we as human beings take everything personally. Whether they put us on a pedestal or put us underneath the ground, we take everything personally, right? But we have to realize that all of us have our own opinions. All of us have our own background. All of us has our own upbringing, right? So how can we take anything personally when they really don't know you? I really don't know. I mean, the reality is we don't even know ourselves. So even the things that we say to ourselves, we should not take personally, because most of it is a lie. Get that book, y'all, okay? All right, I got a couple more minutes, right? And so the next one, it says, right? It says, don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. with just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Oh my God. I have been making myself become aware of when I'm making assumptions or when I'm about to do this. I say, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I am one who love to ask questions. I am one who want people to ask me questions. But be careful what you ask for, because I'm going to tell you the truth as I know it. And so stop making assumptions about yourself and about others. Okay. All right. Let's see. Where am I? Okay. So let's go to the fourth one. Always do your best, right? If I incorporate being impeccable with my word, meaning I'm no longer going to sin against myself, nor sin against you. I'm not going to take anything personally, even though what I say to myself and what others may say to me, right? I'm not going to make assumptions. Therefore, it is left for me to do the best I can in any given situation at any time, doing the best that I can because I'm operating from a place of love and truth, right? Because I'm practicing being true to myself, right? I'm not taking myself seriously in some instances, and I stop making assumptions that I can't do something, but I can, and so I do my best. And so here comes the last one, right? I got 30 seconds, right? It says, be skeptical, but listen to learn. Don't believe yourself or anybody else unconditionally. Use the power of doubt to question everything you hear. Is it really the truth? Listen to the intent behind the words, and you will understand the real message. Oh my God, be skeptical, but listen. I can tell myself that Winnie, you can't. Why? What is the intent? Because of fear. Fear. No, change that narrative. Hit that pause button, right? And say, listen, no, I'm gonna question that. Not to disregard it, not to this, but to learn to listen. What am I really saying to myself? What am I really saying to you? What are you really saying to me? So guess what? An act of providence. Oh yes, an act of providence that we are here right now, breathing. And we have no control over nobody else but ourselves. And guess what? God has all control, right? Remember the song we heard this morning? Your grace and mercy brought me through. I'm living this moment because of you. I want to praise you and thank you too, for it was your grace and your mercy that brought me through. Make the best of this day.